Monaco, the jewel of the F1 calendar, a fan and driver favourite that is one of the most anticipated races of the year. But is it time that we said goodbye to this historic circuit? Recent years have seen less and less exciting racing taking place around the streets of the microstate, and with the race calendar now to 23 races and Formula 1 potentially having to lose a historic track, should Monaco be considered to get the chop? Let's discuss. The first Grand Prix to be held in Monaco was in 1929 and was included in the inaugural Formula 1 calendar in 1950, where Juan Manuel Fangio won his first ever World Championship race. The race didn't feature in 1951, returned for 1952, but then was not featured until 1955 due to budgetary concerns and a lack of regulation in the sport. The Grand Prix then saw 64 consecutive years of being included in the calendar until the COVID pandemic in 2020 saw the race cancelled. Monaco was the first street circuit to be used in Formula 1, with the track layout remaining virtually unchanged for the entirety of its inclusion in the F1 calendar. The Grand Prix joined the Indianapolis 500 and 24-hour of Le Mans to be known as the Triple Crown of motorsport as the three most famous races in the world. As of the end of the 2022 season, Graham Hill is the only driver to have completed the Triple Crown. The race has seen 36 different drivers win at the circuit, with Ayrton Senna holding the record of 6 wins, 5 of which came with McLaren, the constructor with the most wins, having a total of 15 victories. The race also sees some special benefits that other tracks do not have, such as being able to be included in the calendar for a largely reduced fee and also having their own control over the TV coverage of the race, although the latter has faced some criticism in recent years. So why would we want to get rid of such a prestigious race? The 3.3 kilometre long circuit is well known for being a difficult place to overtake around due to its tight corners and limited overtaking opportunities. This has led to the race coming under criticism in recent years for being boring, with Fernando Alonso calling the Grand Prix the most boring race ever, and Lewis Hamilton saying the 2022 Grand Prix wasn't really racing. This can be seen in the fact that only 10 wins have ever come from outside of the top 3 on the grid in the 68 times the race has been held. The lack of overtaking has become an ever-increasing issue in the Grand Prix, as modern cars have become progressively bigger and heavier than they ever have been, meaning the already tight and twisting circuit is becoming increasingly harder to overtake on. This has led to the race becoming more of a procession rather than a race, with the majority of the weekend's action coming in qualifying on Saturday, where the drivers are pushing their cars to the limit, sometimes with the consequence of ending up in the barrier. The F1 calendar also features a lot more street circuits, with 6 being on the calendar in the 2023 season, and that's without including Australia and Canada that use regular streets but still have the characteristics of traditional circuits with wide runoff areas. This means that one of the special characteristics of the Monaco Grand Prix is no longer as special, as we get to see the talents of the F1 drivers being tested in tight and twisting street circuits on a more regular basis. This begs the question, does Monaco have anything special to offer over these other street circuits other than its history? It can be argued that Baku can offer more than Monaco, as the drivers have their ability tested in sectors 1 and 2, whilst having a great overtaking opportunity down the home straight in sector 3. Singapore has a speciality of being a night race, meaning the drivers get tested in different driving opportunities, and even though Miami has so far been unable to produce anything particularly inspiring with its racing, the long straight on sector 3 provides an overtaking opportunity, and the sheer amount of money being put into the event and the push from Formula 1 to have more racing in the US means it's highly unlikely to leave the calendar. With all this in mind, let's take a look at what Formula 1 could do to help improve the Monaco Grand Prix and bring exciting racing back. Unfortunately, little can be done to the track layout to provide better racing. The only option would be to change turn 8, bringing in a left-handed turn after turn 7, followed by a right-hander around the roundabout. This would generate a higher speed corner, leading into a longer straight through the tunnel, and give a better overtaking opportunity either in the tunnel or at the braking point for the chicane at turn 10. This would give cars an opportunity to follow each other through the corner and benefit from a longer time in the slipstream of the car ahead to be able to attempt to make an overtake. Another option for making Monaco a more exciting race isn't a direct change to the race itself, rather a change to the regulations as a whole. One of the main reasons F1 cars cannot overtake at Monaco is due to the size and weight of the cars, meaning it's a lot harder for cars to go side by side without hitting a barrier. Reducing the maximum size of Formula 1 cars would greatly improve the racing not only at Monaco, but at a lot of tracks throughout the year. Currently, F1 cars measure at around 5.5 metres in length and are 2 metres wide, whilst weighing around 800 kilograms before the driver gets in the car. Compare this to the current Formula E cars that are only 5 metres in length, 1.7 metres wide, and weigh 760 kilograms. Why do we care about Formula E cars? After all, it's a completely different competition, but Formula E also have a race on the calendar at Monaco, and the two series are fairly similar in style, with the cars that are raced both being single-seaters. However, Formula E runs on a much shorter layout of the Monaco circuit, yet sees considerably more overtakes in a race. The 2022 Formula 1 race saw a total of 5 on-track overtakes during the race, which doesn't include any overtakes made during pit stops, whereas the Formula E race saw 28 just between the top 6 drivers, showing that single-seaters have the ability for entertaining racing around Monaco if they are smaller and lighter. Reducing the size of the cars would also help with general racing in Formula 1, as the dirty air problem that's made it difficult for F1 cars to follow each other on track would be reduced. Smaller cars would create a smaller wake and less dirty air, meaning cars would be able to follow each other more closely and lead to an increased number of overtakes. Realistically though, Monaco isn't going anywhere in the near future. There is currently a contract between the circuit and Formula 1 until 2025, and with the circuit handing TV production over to Formula 1 as of the 2023 renewal of the race, and reports that this current contract was agreed at a fee closer to that paid by other tracks, it is unlikely that the relationship between the circuit and Formula 1 is going to break down anytime soon. As for changes that could be made to help improve the racing, the circuit has remained largely unchanged over the 60 plus years of racing that has been held at the microstate. It is unlikely we will see any changes, and given the limited opportunities available to make changes, it's almost certain the current layout will be here to stay. Could we see smaller cars in the future? Possibly, but as Formula 1 always prides itself in the speed of its cars, a reduction in size would also mean a reduction in speed, and Formula 1 won't want their cars to be getting any slower anytime soon. So what do you guys think? Is Monaco just a needless, boring race in the calendar now, or does the history and prestige of the circuit, along with the Saturday excitement, justify its place in the calendar? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more videos.